Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the truly wild theories from the documentary Ancient Aliens, Top UFO Mysteries of 2025, and weaving them into one single, cohesive story for you. Okay, let's get right into it.
So let's start with this bombshell of a quote. This comes from Admiral Richard Byrd, a highly decorated U.S. Navy officer, a true American hero. He was one of the first guys to fly over both poles, and he's saying this right after World War II, a time when everyone's already on edge, grappling with this new atomic age. Talk about setting the stage.
Now look at this timeline. This is where it gets really interesting. According to the source material, this is no coincidence. The modern UFO era, with all the sightings and strange events, kicks off precisely when humanity splits the atom. The theory is that these two things are deeply, deeply connected. Okay, so let's dig into the two events that really form the foundation of this whole thing. First, we're going on a secret mission to the coldest place on Earth, Antarctica. And then, we're heading to a mysterious crash site in the Arizona desert. These two stories, according to the source, are what kicked off decades of government secrecy. So the story goes that Admiral Byrd kept a personal diary that the government supposedly snatched up after he died. In it, he apparently wrote about flying into a massive opening at the South Pole and finding, well, this, an impossible green, temperate world under the ice. He says his plane was then basically taken over, escorted by these weird disc-shaped craft to a meeting with a being called the Master. And here's that connection again. This is a theme you're gonna see over and over. The message from this mysterious being wasn't hostile. It was a warning, a deep concern about our new atomic toys. You hear this same story echoed in tons of other UFO reports, especially the ones that happen near our most sensitive nuclear missile bases.
Okay, fast forward just a few years. And boom, another major event. Right after a nuke test, a 40-foot disk just falls out of the sky. But get this, it's supposedly perfectly intact, not a scratch on it. The source claims a team of 40 engineers was secretly bussed out there, and they recovered not just the craft, but its occupants. And this one event, they argue, is why America's most secret military base was created.
So this is the big question, right? If the government really got their hands on an alien ship and its crew, what did they do with it? Well, to answer that, we have to go to the Nevada desert, to the legendary Area 51. So the narrative goes like this. Area 51 was essentially built around the Kingman craft and its one single survivor, an entity that linguists on the project apparently nicknamed J-Rod. And his whole purpose there, according to whistleblowers, was to basically be a living, breathing instruction manual for all this crazy advanced technology. A former experimental test pilot named Bill Use claims he actually worked with J-Rod, and he describes this really bizarre way of communicating. He said J-Rod would mimic his voice perfectly, like a parrot, but the words that came out were just pure science and engineering, a direct data dump on how to understand the craft. But the story doesn't just stop at Area 51. Nope. The theory presented here is that Area 51 is just the tip of the iceberg, the most famous part of a massive hidden network that crisscrosses the entire country, all underground. Yeah, theorists talk about this vast system of tunnels, kind of like a secret subway that connects all these key military and research sites. The whole idea was born out of Cold War paranoia. If there's a nuclear attack, you can move people, tech, and experiments completely off the grid, far away from any prying eyes or satellites. And this brings us right back to where we started, Antarctica. A Navy SEAL whistleblower, who goes by the name Spartan 1, describes something absolutely mind-blowing. He says he went inside a massive octagonal structure buried deep in the ice. And the contrast is just jarring. Outside, a frozen hellscape. But inside, 72 degrees, lit by some impossible lime green light with technology that seems like magic. And it's not just old stories. The source material points to modern stuff too, like a contrail that stretches from pole to pole in minutes, which suggests speeds way, way beyond anything we have. Satellite photos that look for all the world like a giant hangar door carved into a mountain. And another crash site, this time of a long tubular object that looks eerily like that interstellar visitor we called Oumuamua. So you put all this together, the secret diaries, the crashes, the underground bases, the weird stuff in Antarctica, it all leads to the biggest question there is. If these beings are real, who or what in the world are they? Okay, get ready, because the theory presented here completely flips the script. It challenges that whole idea of extraterrestrials from another planet and suggests we might have been looking in the wrong place this whole time. What if they're not alien at all? The future human hypothesis suggests that these visitors, especially the classic grays, are actually us. They're our own evolutionary descendants, traveling back from thousands of years in the future. So the mystery isn't about space, it's about time.
And it makes a weird kind of sense, doesn't it? The classic gray alien, big head, frail little body. It's almost a perfect match for what scientists back in the 50s and 60s predicted we'd evolve into after thousands of years of letting technology do all the work for us. The theory says they're coming back to our time to fix a genetic crisis in their own because they can no longer reproduce.
And this brings us right back to J-Rod at Area 51. Another whistleblower, a microbiologist named Dan Burish, claims J-Rod told him this exact story. That he was a human from the future, from a time when a catastrophe forced one group of humans to live underground, which is how they evolved those strange insect-like features. A story that sounds a whole lot like the ancient Hopi legends of the ant people. When you think about it, by reframing this whole mystery as a question of time instead of space, it suddenly connects all the dots. It suggests that from Admiral Byrd's bizarre encounter in Antarctica to J-Rod's testimony at Area 51, we haven't been dealing with beings from another star system. We have been dealing with travelers from our own potential future. And that leaves you with one final incredible thought. Maybe the visitors have been us all along.